This is a hurricane update from TV 10. Good afternoon. John Ed Thompson here. Well, Elena is weakening, and she is slowing her forward motion as she rains herself out over southern Louisiana. Hurricane warnings remain in effect, though, from Grand Isle, Louisiana to Pensacola, Florida. But the good news for the residents of Pensacola, your area should be lifted from the hurricane warning area because it has moved far enough away from your area to be lifted from the hurricane warning. A tornado watch remains in effect, though, until 3 p.m. for Escambia and Santa Rosa counties in Florida. The last coordinates we have on Elena is latitude 30.7 north, longitude 89.9 west, and she has been moving to the northwest or the west-northwest at about 15 miles per hour. She's actually slowed her forward motion down at this time, and winds are only 75 or fewer miles per hour. So she's downgrading herself and should no longer be a hurricane momentarily. Again, the latitude 30.7 north and longitude 89.9 west. And the word out of Pensacola is that hurricane warnings for Escambia County, Florida will be discontinued inside the hour by the National Weather Service as Elena continues to weaken rapidly while moving northwest over land areas of southern Mississippi. In Alabama, U.S. Senator Howell Heflin has sent a telegram to the president asking him to consider Gulf Shores, Dauphin Island, and Fort Morgan as disaster areas because of the damage from Hurricane Elena. There is a crew from the Army Corps of Engineers looking over Dauphin Island, of course, Fort Morgan, and Gulf Shores. For residents of Dauphin Island, you cannot return to your homes until at least tomorrow afternoon. They say the damage is extensive, a lot like Hurricane Frederick. It's estimated that from $20 to $30 million worth of damage has been done in the area. Some homes were leveled, some homes' roofs were lifted and thrown a block away. Some homes were barely touched with only broken windows. No one will be allowed on Dauphin Island today other than emergency and repair crews. Again, some homes badly damaged, other homes only barely damaged, much like Frederick, and that's the report we have. We have a camera crew on the island. They should be back momentarily with pictures of exactly what Dauphin Island looks like. Complete news and weather, of course, coming up tonight here on TV 10 at 6 o'clock. Now, if you have a house or business on Pleasure Island, you can go back. You will be allowed back to Gulf Shores if you can show positive proof of ownership and proper identification. You will also need to report to a checkpoint. So stay tuned to TV 10. We'll have further details on returning to Pleasure Island or Dauphin Island. Repeating, and let's look one more time at the radar where the rain is occurring presently. Lines of showers continue throughout the Pensacola area into Mobile, North Mobile County, and a line of showers runs from north of Biloxi into Hattiesburg. Elena is raining herself out, but we can't expect the possibility of tornadoes over the next several hours. And we urge you that if you don't have to get out this afternoon, don't get out this afternoon. And we have some reports from the businesses, such as the malls, that because of everything calming down, they will open for business this afternoon. So some of those Labor Day sales that you've read about in the newspaper, you can go take advantage of them this afternoon. We'll be on every hour and a half hour, so stay tuned to TV 10. This is a hurricane update from TV 10. Elena continues to have a decaying center and is weakening as she rains herself out over southern Mississippi and eastern Louisiana. However, the possibility of tornadoes still exists in Florida, Alabama, southern Mississippi, and Louisiana. A tornado warning is in effect for Escambia and Santa Rosa counties in Florida until 1:21 this afternoon. Let's look at radar and see why it is still in effect in that area. As you can see, some heavy showers just off the coast between Florida and Alabama. Some of those thunderstorms could come ashore. There's also heavy rain east of Pensacola, and all of this is moving onshore at about 30 miles per hour to the northwest. Again, heavy thunderstorms in a band into portions of Alabama, Florida, as well as coastal Mississippi. Some heavy showers just off of Pascagoula. That center of the radar, that blanked out area around Mobile, is not the eye of the storm. That is a blanked out area around the radar site at Bates Field. The eye is no longer visible on the radar, but if you'd like to plot her, the last coordinates we have on Elena are latitude 30.7 north, longitude 89.9 west, with top winds at that time of 75 miles an hour, and that location is about 50 miles to the northwest of Gulfport, Mississippi. However, besides the warning that's effect for Santa Rosa and Escambia counties, a watch remains in effect also for the Florida Panhandle, for coastal Alabama, and for southern Mississippi, and a flash flood watch out also for that entire area. Widely scattered heavy thunderstorms and rain showers with widespread light rain over the area at this hour. U.S. Senator Howell Heflin has asked President Reagan to consider Gulf Shores, Dauphin Island, and Fort Morgan as disaster areas because of the damage of Hurricane Elena. There are crews from the Army Corps of Engineers on Fort Morgan, Gulf Shores, and Dauphin Island giving an estimate of the damage at the present time. Residents of Dauphin Island will not be able to go back to the island until tomorrow afternoon. They say the damage is extensive, much like Hurricane Frederick. It's estimated that from $20 to $30 million worth of damage is done to the Dauphin Island area. Some homes were leveled, some roofs were lifted off, and some homes were left alone. No one will be allowed on the island except emergency and repair crews. Now here's some word out of Dauphin Island as far as what was going on last night. Preliminary reports from the Dauphin Island Sea Lab from Dr. Will Schroeder show that Dauphin Island received at least 2 hours of sustained winds of 92 to 104 miles per hour and a peak gust to 122 miles per hour. So if that's what was going on, 122 miles per hour gust with sustained winds between 92 and 104, you can see why the damage is quite extensive on Dauphin Island. The lowest pressure recorded at Dauphin Island was 28.73 inches. That's according to Dr. Schroeder. The island was devastated, reportedly with damage much worse than Hurricane Frederick. Dr. Schroeder rode out Hurricane Frederick on the island, but when Elena was south of the island and took a more northerly course toward the Mississippi coast, he did evacuate last night around 1 a.m. Again, Elena is continuing to cause problems as far as rainfall is concerned and the possibility of tornadoes. So keep in mind, tornadoes are still possible. If you don't have to venture out, don't do so. We'll have reports on the hour and half hour, a complete report, and look at the devastation tonight on the news at 6 o'clock. So stay with TV 10. This is a hurricane update. Good morning or good afternoon. Johnny Ed Thompson. Time sort of blends together here as we continue to cover Elena, who is now raining herself out in southern Mississippi and eastern Louisiana. Let's look at radar and see exactly where she is. The eye is no longer defined. The eye is decaying some 60 miles to the northwest of Gulfport, Mississippi, and bands of showers are moving onshore. Some of these squall lines are very heavy thunderstorms. We are continuing under a tornado watch and a flash flood watch all along the coast of Mississippi, Alabama, and northwest Florida. You can see where you live on the map, and you can know, of course, by just looking out the window how bad the weather is at the present time. We've had film crews all over the Gulf Coast, from Panama City to Cedar Key, down to Gulf Shores, down to Dauphin Island, and we understand the worst hit areas along the coast are Dauphin Island, Pascagoula, Ocean Springs, and Biloxi. Now we have some unedited, actually has been edited, but we have some dramatic pictures taken from Ocean Springs, Mississippi this morning as the eye of Elena came ashore. I think the pictures speak for themselves. Flying debris, rooftops lifted off of buildings. The wind was quite strong at that time, with wind gusts up to 121 miles an hour recorded in the Ocean Springs and over into Gulfport and Biloxi. This is a film crew that was driving through the area right now. You can see trees were falling at the time. Power lines were being knocked down. Power outages, of course, are common. This is the old section of Ocean Springs, moving now into the city of Biloxi. The wind, of course, was quite severe. There is a house with the roof lifted off. Again, these pictures were taken this morning as the eye of Elena came ashore near Biloxi. She gave Mobile kind of a glancing blow and moved officially into Biloxi. You can see water was flooding the street. Awnings were blown down. Some windows stayed intact, though. The full force of Elena this morning, 121-mile-an-hour winds as she moved ashore. The obvious question that a lot of Mobilians are asking is, how does Elena compare to Frederick? Well, numerous tornadoes were in and around the area during Frederick, and numerous tornadoes also occurred in and around Elena. The maximum sustained winds near the center of Hurricane Frederick were estimated to be at 130 miles per hour as it passed directly over Mobile back in 1979. Winds near the center of Elena were estimated near 125 miles an hour as she passed about 30 miles south of Mobile. The highest winds, though, at the Dauphin Island Sea Lab this morning, with sustained winds of 97 to 104, were 122 miles an hour, and she passed within 5 miles of Dauphin Island. She crossed just over Pettiboy Island and then moved on shore in Biloxi and Gulfport. Again, those pictures taken this morning as Elena moved on shore in Ocean Springs and Biloxi. We have other pictures on the air this afternoon, so stay with TV10. We hope to have pictures shortly of Dauphin Island. We understand it's quite severe, the damage on Dauphin Island. We'll have reports on a half an hour and hour, so stay with TV10. For shingles missing from the roof and broken windows and such as that. Of course, standing water is quite common as well. There is a home, it's I believe on the north side of Bienville Boulevard, and you can see half of its roof is gone. Shingles missing off of that roof in the distance there. Coming up on another house it's I would call totally devastated. Now, of course, we'll have more video of Dauphin Island, Gulf Shores, Ocean Springs, and Biloxi tonight at 6 o'clock. This is just a snippet of what we shot this morning and this afternoon down in Dauphin Island. Now, coming up, this greenhouse sitting on the ground was knocked over from Frederick. It is still sitting on the ground. In other words, that is not from Elena. That's what Dauphin Island looks like. And if you have a house in Dauphin Island, I hope we showed your house. If we didn't, maybe we can tonight. The word is that some homes are totally devastated. Some homes have their roofs lifted off. Some homes are barely touched. And that's the way it is on Dauphin Island. Now, of course, we'll stay on the air throughout the afternoon here on TV10. I have one announcement from International Paper Company, the Moss Point Mill. They need all general mechanics, instrument electricians, and general yard workers report to work at the Moss Point Mill immediately. Pulp mill and wood yard crews should report to work tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock. All others should stay tuned for more information. Again, International Paper, Moss Point Mill, need all general mechanics, instrument electricians, and general yard workers report immediately. Pulp mill and wood yard crews should report to work tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock. Again, we'll be on the hour, every hour and every half hour with reports here on TV10. And, of course, we'll have complete news and more video for you tonight at 6 o'clock. This is an Elena update on TV10. It's no longer a hurricane update because Elena is no longer a hurricane. She has winds now into the 60 to 70 mile an hour range, and of course in our area it's dropping on down to the 20 to 35 mile per hour gusts. Looking at TV10 color radar, we have bands of showers. Most of the heavy showers are into southern Mississippi at the present time, with some showers south of Dauphin Island and Mobile Bay in the Gulf. The heaviest rainfall is occurring from Biloxi on north to east of Hattiesburg. Movement of these thunderstorms is to the northwest at around 30 to 40 miles per hour. These showers continue to rain themselves out into decay the center of Elena. Again, Elena is no longer a hurricane. We're hoping to put some more video on at the present time, but we don't have that available right now. We hope to have it on in the next half-hour report. But again, the worst-hit areas along the coast have been Dauphin Island, Pascagoula, Ocean Springs, and Biloxi. We've had crews there all day long. They're putting together their stories for tonight. We'll have complete reports tonight at 6 o'clock. Dauphin Island, one of the hardest-hit areas along the Alabama coastline, with a lot of destruction. Some homes totally destroyed, other homes with shingles missing, some homes with their roofs lifted off, and a lot of water across the island. And matter of fact, the road to the Dauphin Island Bridge was covered with debris, the cane brake or what have you, that are on the base side of the road between Alabama Port and Dauphin Island. They were covering the road, and they could barely get through there this morning to the bridge. Now, here's an announcement for paper mill workers in Moss Point at the International Paper Company. They need all general mechanics, instrument electricians, and general yard workers. They should report immediately. Pulp mill and wood yard crews should report back to work tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock. If you have a home on Dauphin Island, we'll have more video tonight at 6 o'clock, and we hope to repeat some of the video we've already shown and possibly show you some new video in the next break coming 1/2 hour from right now. You will not be allowed to move to Dauphin Island to check out your home unless you are with a repair crew or emergency workers. Again, you will not be allowed to come to Dauphin Island tonight or this afternoon, but it will be tomorrow afternoon when it will be opened up to property owners. Now, if you're a property owner or a business owner at Gulf Shores, then you can go back there at the present time, but you must have proper identification and proof of ownership. There will be checkpoints, and you must report in and report out when you go to Pleasure Island. Again, if you're an owner at Gulf Shores, you must have proof of ownership. It is limited access at Gulf Shores. Senator Howell Heflin has sent a telegram to President Reagan asking him to consider Gulf Shores, Dauphin Island, and Fort Morgan as disaster areas because of the damage caused by Hurricane Elena. Again, Elena is no longer a hurricane. And there are Army Corps of Engineer crews both on Dauphin Island and at Gulf Shores giving estimates. The initial estimate coming out of Dauphin Island was from $20 to $30 million in damage. Again, let's look at the radar and see where the rainfall is occurring right now. You can see circular bands to the west of Mobile, circling around an area in southwestern Mississippi. That's where the general center now of Elena is. Elena is a large thunderstorm with gusty winds and the possibility of tornadoes. A tornado watch remains in effect along the coastline as well as a flash flood watch. The next update coming in 1/2 hour on TV10. We'll have complete news, weather, and sports tonight at 6 p.m.
Good afternoon. It is just after 3 o'clock. This is weather forecaster Bill Evans reporting from the Weather Center here at TV10. Let's take you to the radar right now for an update on Tropical Storm Elena now. There are heavy thunder showers and scattered thunder showers continuing all across the southeast. You can see scattered rain showers over Alabama, northwest Florida, and most of the rain is in Mississippi. We'll take you on a little tour by the radar over toward Mississippi, and you can see a line of thunder showers still heavy, stretching from Hattiesburg all the way down to the Gulfport area, stretching even over to past Christian to New Orleans. Now you can kind of see in the upper left-hand corner, that is really the center of the storm now as it is moving toward Louisiana. The Tropical Storm Elena still winds around 55 to 65 miles per hour, and scattered thunder showers are continuing. A couple of announcements that we need to let you know about. International Paper Company, Moss Point Mill need all general mechanics, instrument electricians, and general yard workers report immediately there. Pulp Mill and Woodyard crews should report to work tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Corps of Engineers will resume work tomorrow at their regular scheduled time. All others should stay tuned for more information from International Paper Company. All maintenance personnel, including supervision, transportation, carpenters, riggers, production control, production system, and planning, should report to Ingalls Manufacturing tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. That, of course, including all manufacturing engineers, facility engineers, production engineers, and all maintenance and supervision. Return to work at 7 a.m. tomorrow. All others, the employees at Ingalls Shipbuilding, should return when notified. That seems to be all the announcements that we have right now. More scattered rain showers are going to continue throughout the day, but as far as northwest Florida and Alabama is concerned, most of the heavy stuff in the storm is over. We'll have some cloudy skies to partly cloudy through the afternoon. Tonight, partly cloudy and rather mild with a low temperature of 74 across the Gulf Coast. Some nice weather will be moving in Tuesday through Wednesday. We'll have lots of sunshine now that the storm is over. However, a little chance of some scattered thunder showers will continue. We want to take you for some a little tour of Dauphin Island. We have some video from down there. This, of course, from this morning, just after daybreak at Dauphin Island. You can see the destruction from the hurricane. The eye wall passed 5 miles to the south of Dauphin Island this morning at about 3 a.m. and continued to cause much destruction there. At Dauphin Island, the effects of Hurricane Elena were equal to or possibly worse than when Hurricane Frederick hit. The reasons why: the eye wall was right next to Dauphin Island. Sustained winds were at 90 to 100 miles per hour, with wind gusts up to 122 miles per hour reported there, and those sustained winds of around 100 miles per hour were for a little over 2.5 hours. You can see the destruction. This, of course, these pictures taken right after 6 a.m. this morning. We'll have some more video for you to see coming up in our next break at 3:30. That seems to be the most destruction recorded in Alabama. Of course, it was heavier from Ocean Springs to Gulfport, Mississippi, in that area where the eye of the storm passed closest to the Gulf Coast of Mississippi, and of course the eye continued toward past Christiana. We'll have more updates on the half hour and on the hour, plus we'll have a complete report tonight at 6 on Hurricane Elena, plus other news from across the Gulf Coast. So join us then.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is an Elena update. I'm Bob Grip. Elena continues to lose strength as it moves over Mississippi. Its center is about 50 miles northwest of Gulfport, and its winds are down to 60 miles an hour, making it a tropical storm. The hardest hit areas were Biloxi, Mississippi, and Dauphin Island. Even though Hurricane Frederick packed stronger winds when it hit the island in 1979, Elena did more damage. Here's why. Frederick hit the island quickly and went north up the bay. Elena traveled parallel to the island, slamming it with 100-mile-an-hour winds for 2 solid hours. Now, along the Mississippi coast, 100,000 people are without power at this hour. The trees were snapped in half, roofs were peeled off, windows were smashed to bits. In addition to the hurricane-force winds, Gulfport was hit by at least 7 tornadoes. The director of civil defense in Gulfport, Wayne Geist, says Elena was cruel. As he put it, she taunted us and teased us and forced us to evacuate 5 days ago, then came back and slapped us and went on her way. It wasn't a fun storm. A lot of damage, especially in Dauphin Island, Gulf Shores, and along the Mississippi Gulf Coast. Bill Evans is in our weather office, and he has the latest on what is now tropical storm, Elena.
That's right, Bob. Elena, it's tropical storm now. It is over land, of course, over most of Louisiana and Mississippi. Winds are at 60 miles per hour. Let's go to the TV10 computer, and I'll show you some satellite pictures from early this morning from 5 a.m. This is how it looked when the eye of Elena is right there 5 miles south of Dauphin Island. Then later, exactly 2 hours later, the eye began to move exactly right around past Christian, 40 miles to the north of Slidell, Louisiana, and the storm continues moving toward the northwest at this time and is continuing to head into Louisiana. And the storm, of course, will obviously continue moving in that direction for the next several hours and will push its way into Louisiana, more into Arkansas, bringing rain to that area. You can see the eye right there north of Pass Christian, kind of elongating north and south. That's rather typical when the storm takes on land and begins to break up and lose its punch. Now, you recall during Frederick back in '79, the eye elongated east and west over Mobile Bay, and that was somewhat of a problem as it sucked all the water out of the bay and caused lots of flooding at Dauphin Island and at Gulf Shores, but not much in the Mobile Bay area. Let's look at the radar quickly, and we'll show you scattered thunder showers still continuing. A heavy line. It's going to cause some flash flooding problems from Puckett, Mississippi, all the way down to Hattiesburg, to Poplarville, stretching down to New Orleans, and in the eastern sections of Lake Pontchartrain. Another line, a squall line from south of Jackson, Mississippi, at Mendenhall to Gretna, Louisiana, and it moves southwest of the Pontchartrain. Those thunder showers are moving to the northwest at about 15 miles per hour. They will be continuing for the next several hours, dumping heavy rains, and in some parts of southern Mississippi, as much as 10 inches of rain will continue through that area. Bob?
All right, thanks, Bill. We will continue to update you on Tropical Storm Elena on the hour and half hour, and of course, we will have a complete wrap-up tonight at 6 o'clock on the early edition of the News 10. We'll see you at 4 o'clock. Homes on the western end of the island were destroyed. Some were leveled altogether, others were heavily damaged. The island is officially closed right now. However, the Sheriff's Department hopes to reopen it sometime tomorrow. Driving there is extremely difficult because of the many pine trees across the road, and all the debris that's been scattered from the inside of the house is now all over the road. It's a real mess down on Dauphin Island right now. Well, Bill Evans is in our weather center with a look at Elena. Elena is now over Mississippi, as we said, and slowly beginning to wind down.
That's right, Bob. It's losing its punch now that the eye has moved on to land. The storm quickly dropped down below hurricane strength several hours after the eye made landfall. And now there's scattered thunder showers continuing over Mississippi, and they will continue to do so for the next couple of days. The real threat of the storm will be in the form of flash flooding. And here's how the storm looks now. Thunder showers heavy around Hattiesburg, Mississippi, stretching to north of Biloxi. Thunder showers over Lake Pontchartrain, Gretna, Louisiana, all the way around Poplarville, Wiggins, Bond, Mississippi, up to McGee. There's scattered thunder showers. All of those are really moving to the northwest at about 5 to 10 miles per hour, and they have really been dissipating. Now, the storm center itself is going to continue to move around and come back to the northeast, and northern Alabama, northern Mississippi, and northern Georgia look like there's going to be some trouble spots for them as the storm will continue moving to the northeast. It will create lots of rain there, and localized flash flooding could be a problem there. But it looks like, Bob, we're on the way to sunny skies tomorrow for the Gulf Coast with some afternoon thunder showers and a high of 85. In northwest Florida, looks like it'll get some sunshine tomorrow. It'll be a good day tomorrow to clean up all the debris from the hurricane from last night and early this morning.
All right, thanks, Bill. We have some return-to-work notices right now from Ingalls Shipyard in Pascagoula. All maintenance personnel, including supervision, transportation, carpenters, riggers, production control, production system and planning, manufacturing engineers, facility ENGs, production ENGs, and all maintenance and supervision people should return to work Tuesday morning at 7 o'clock. All other Ingalls employees should return when notified. Also, International Paper Company Moss Point Mill. It needs all general mechanics, instruments, electricians, and general yard workers to report immediately. Pulp mill and wood yard crews should report to work tomorrow at 7 o'clock in the morning. All others should stay tuned for further information. We will keep you up to date on Tropical Storm Elena as it continues to move through Mississippi and dump a lot of rain and some wind in Mississippi and also probably in central and northern Alabama for too long. and we will continue to update you on the hour and a half hour. Our next update will be at 4:30. We'll see you then. Good afternoon, everyone. It's 4:30 time for an Elena update. Tropical storm Elena, she's been downgraded to a tropical storm from hurricane status. Winds are now 60 miles an hour. Is in Mississippi right now, slowly dying, but it's certainly left its mark on the Mississippi Gulf Coast and especially on Dauphin Island. Carolyn Martin was up on Dauphin Island this morning, just a few hours after the eye passed. It was a mess, wasn't it?
It really is, Bob. Basically, anyone who was around after Hurricane Frederick knows what Dauphin Island looks like this afternoon. It really is devastating down there. You've got all kinds of houses that are totally destroyed. You can see some of the video here. This looks just like Frederick video, but this is Elena video. Both houses on the Sound side and on the Gulf side were destroyed. Here's the side of the marina. Boats were tossed about. The hurricane just basically wreaked a lot of havoc on Dauphin Island.
People say this was as bad as Frederick, or perhaps even greater destruction.
Oh yes, it's absolutely just as bad. To me, I was here for Hurricane Frederick. My family has a cabin on Dauphin Island. This is like a recurring nightmare. We went down there, photographer Paula Ross and I went down there this morning, and I couldn't believe I was seeing it all over again. It is just like reliving Frederick.
What would you say to the people who have property, who have a condo or have a home on Dauphin Island? They have a lot to be concerned about.
Oh yes, well of course they do. I can tell you that Sheriff Tom Purvis has closed Dauphin Island to sightseers and homeowners. However, he probably will open the island tomorrow around noon or so, so that people will be able to get down and check on their belongings and whatnot. He is certainly aware, as well as the county is aware, that people want to know what's going on with their houses down there, because there's furniture scattered all over the place, roofs, lumber, all kinds of things. But basically, it's just not very safe to be down there right now. We had to wind our way down Bienville Boulevard, which is the main boulevard on Dauphin Island, and there were pine trees right in the middle of the road and a lot of flooding, wires down. Of course, there's no power, no water on the island right now, and it's just devastation. It's very bad.
Do you have a ballpark figure? If you had to say like half the houses are damaged or 3/4 of the houses are damaged, what would you say it's closest to?
From what we saw, I would say probably 2/3 of the houses have received some sort of damage. It's probably safe to say that all the houses received some sort of damage. You know, maybe a few broken windows. Obviously, some were totally leveled, and some just had a few broken windows. I tell you, we could only get as far as about a quarter mile past where the 4-lane ends, because the island is been cut, just like during Frederick. It's been cut again by the water and the sand, and we couldn't get past, like I said, about a quarter mile past the 4-lane.
Was the beach wiped out altogether?
Right now, the beach is not looking very good. The waves are still crashing in, just like they were on Friday. There wasn't much beach Friday there, but that is probably going to clear up, I believe. Basically, the beach was just washed from where it used to be down the access roads and under the houses and whatnot. It sort of looks like it has snowed down there. There's so much sand all over everything. We do still have dunes at the public beach. We do only have about 1/3 of a pier. The fishing pier is mostly gone. It went in Hurricane Frederick. There again, that looks exactly the same. But of course, the good news is that we had a lot of destruction, and it's very upsetting to go down, and it's devastating to see it. But the good news is that no one was killed in this hurricane, and about 20 people stayed on the island.
What about the eastern end of the island? Did that fare better than the western end?
Well, a little bit better in that there weren't as many houses down there. You know, there are a lot of trees on the eastern end, and of course a lot of those were down. The big tall pine trees were down, but you didn't have the structural damage that you did on the west end, because there's more protection on the east end, and of course there's fewer houses. But flooding is pretty much a problem there. But again, the real devastation is on the east end.
And the hurricane-proof
On the
bridge
west end.
Survived?
Yes, the hurricane-proof bridge did survive. So at least when everyone starts trying to clean up everything this time, we will have a bridge to get back and forth on, and get in the lumber and the new furniture and the insurance people and all that sort of thing. Of course, it'll start all over again down there. I will tell you that I asked Sheriff Tom Purvis, who was down there when we were there this morning, I asked him how long he thought it would be before electricity was restored, and he said several weeks. He did not think that they would bring in the generators this time, because so many power lines are down that they're going to just restring them from, like Alabama Port all the way down. So he thinks it'll be several weeks before there is power down there.
There's a recurring nightmare. It sure sounds like it.
Yes, those are my words, and I lived through Frederick with the island, and I'm seeing it again, and that's exactly what it's like. It's very sad, but it could have been a lot worse. Look at Mobile. We got by just fine.
That's right. All right. Thank you, Carolyn. We'll have our next update coming up at 5 o'clock.
Tropical storm Elena update. This is Chief Meteorologist Bill Evans here in the Weather Center, and let's take a look now at the radar, and we'll show you that there's some scattered thunder showers still continuing between Jackson, Meridian, Mississippi, Hattiesburg, and a heavy squall line from Hattiesburg down to Biloxi. Well, they're getting a lot of rain, and they have been over the last 5-hour period. That rain is moving toward the northwest at 10 miles per hour. Leftover scattered thunder showers continue across the Gulf Coast. The computer on the satellite picture will show us thunder showers that are continuing across the Gulf Coast as now tropical storm Elena continues toward the northwest. It'll bring more rain to northern Louisiana tonight, southern Arkansas, northern Mississippi. Then it'll move northeastward through the day tomorrow and bring lots of thunder showers to northern Alabama. But it looks like we're clearing out along the Gulf Coast now, particularly in northwest Florida and in southern Alabama. We'll get a few more scattered thunder showers. Coming up, we'll have more details, plus the NBC Nightly News at 5:30, so join us then.